Welcome to This Explainer. We're jumping right into a story today that starts out like a classic ghost story, but ends up being something so much more profound. Picture this. You just moved into your absolute dream cottage with your family. The boxes are unpacked, you're settling in, and life is just perfect. But then, things get a little weird. Every night at exactly 9:15 p.m., the family heard footsteps upstairs, but their house didn't even have a second floor.
Yeah, you heard that right. The parents, Michael and Sarah, along with their two kids, were completely baffled. I mean, imagine sitting in your living room, and right above your head you hear it thump, 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 every single night. It's the kind of impossible, unexplainable detail that would literally make anyone's blood run cold, right?
Let's get right into Section 1, the impossible upstairs footsteps.
Now, instead of completely panicking and running out the door, Michael decides to tackle this logically. First up, step 1, he does what any rational homeowner would do. He grabs a flashlight and physically checks the attic. Nothing. No raccoons, no intruders. Okay, moving to step 2, he escalates things and installs security cameras. Still, absolutely nothing. Weeks go by like this, and right on schedule, those phantom footsteps just keep coming back.
Which brings us to Section 2, a clue in the basement. So after weeks of dead ends, the big breakthrough actually doesn't come from any of that high-tech security gear. It comes from their 7-year-old daughter, Olivia. She's poking around down in the basement and finds this old, dusty family photo. She brings it upstairs and asks this incredibly innocent but honestly kind of chilling question. Who's the little girl standing in our backyard? This completely shifts the investigation, and it prompts the family to track down the home's previous owner to find out what is going on.
Let's move on to Section 3, the architectural ghost explained.
So they get a hold of the previous owner, and this older gentleman quietly explains the real history of the house. He tells them that decades ago, his daughter used to run through the attic every single evening right before dinner. But years later, the house went through massive renovations. That actual physical floor where she used to run, it was completely ripped out to create that beautiful, high-vaulted ceiling that Michael and Sarah were now enjoying in their living room.
So, it turns out the sounds weren't a ghost at all. It's actually just physics. Without that full floor up there to hold everything perfectly rigid, the remaining loose wooden beams were undergoing what's called thermal expansion. Because the temperature dropped at the exact same rate every single evening, those old beams would shift and pop right at 9:15 p.m. And it just so happened to perfectly mimic the rhythmic sound of a child's footsteps. Crazy, right? And that leads us to Section 4, the buried memory box. Just when you think the mystery's neatly tied up with science, the story takes this incredibly beautiful turn. The previous owner makes a really specific emotional request. He says, "There's a small memory box buried beneath the old oak tree. My daughter wanted another family to find it someday." So, following his instructions, the family grabs a shovel and heads out to the yard.
When they unearth this box, they don't find, gold coins or traditional valuables. Instead, they find the genuine artifacts of a life that was fully, beautifully lived. We're talking children's drawings, old birthday photos, a tiny little music box, and one final sealed letter. They were basically unpacking decades-old memories that were left specifically for whoever would take care of the house next.
Let's look at what that letter actually said. It reads, "If another family ever lives here, please make this house full of laughter again. Homes should never stay lonely." Just wow. Reading this final plea from the little girl who used to run around up there, it changes absolutely everything for Sarah and Michael. It completely shifts their perspective. Suddenly, it's no longer just a building with weird creaky beams, it's a vessel meant for joy. And it had literally just been sitting there dormant waiting for them to fill it back up. Let's see how they handle this in Section 5, a home built on memories. The family decides they absolutely have to honor this request from the past. Sarah takes those old children's drawings and puts them in these beautiful frames. That tiny music box gets a prime spot of honor right in the living room. And by embracing this, they actively ensure the house is brought back to life. Soon it's packed with birthday parties, family movie nights, and that constant, vibrant sound of kids laughing. Fast forward a few months, and the old man decides to come back for a visit. As he's walking up to the property, even before he steps foot through the front door, he's greeted by the exact sounds his daughter had wished for. He hears Michael and Sarah's children just laughing and playing inside. Hearing that sound, he is just completely overwhelmed. With tears in his eyes, he smiles and says, "Now my little girl's favorite house is happy again." In that instant,
He knows his daughter's legacy of joy wasn't just remembered, it was actively restored and carried forward by this new family. Those strange, spooky footsteps that initially terrified them, they actually guided them straight to restoring the true heart and spirit of that home.
And that brings us to the final takeaway for this explainer. The story leaves us with this incredible thought. The greatest homes aren't built with bricks, they're built with the memories we choose to create together. Because true resonance really does come from the life lived within those walls. So I want you to think about this, and maybe even look around your own living room today. What kind of echoes are you leaving behind for the future?